What is up, YouTube? It's Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. This video is a review slash shameless plug for Nightwasp. Now, if you've been following me on social media, you will know I do a lot of work with the Short Fuse Media Group. They sponsored the contest we did in September and October. They're also publishing my book. They have a number of different books in their line. The one that I want to talk to you about today is called Nightwasp, The Man Who Is Hardly Ever Afraid. Now, this book is satirical. It pokes fun at the genre itself, but it has a lot of Silver Age and even further back kind of comic history written into it. I actually sat down with the writer of the book, Mr. Keith Crook, and did a podcast. And if you're not checking out the Den of Nerd podcast, definitely do that. It's long form entertainment. I'm eventually going to get it up on actual podcasting sites so people can just download it. For now, it's just on the channel. It's just on the YouTube channel. I sat down with Comic Uno. I sat down with Keith Crook. So I'm just going to start like sitting down with more and more people. I think I'm going to do one with Kevin Cuff, the guy that wrote Oathbound. I'm trying to get Bob Saley on here. Some of the other big names in indie comics right now. And have them on here so you guys can check it out and just kind of get a feel for what the industry is and who are these people that are actually making some of these indie books and whatnot. But let's talk about Nightwasp. Now, like I said, I sat down with Keith Crook. You should check out that podcast. The dude is hilarious. He's a very, very funny guy. I think you get a feel for him and his sense of humor right away when you listen to the podcast. And you get a feel for that humor when you read Nightwasp. I was really surprised when I read Nightwasp. I read a lot of comic books, guys, and I read a lot of indie books just because I know a lot of indie creators. You know, I work for Short Fuse. I just have a lot of friends that make comic books. That's kind of what I do. So I read a lot of books that are either okay or, you know, they're good but not great, or they're, you know, kind of bad. I'll be honest with you. I read a lot of indie books that are just bad, and some of them are really, really nice people, and they're good creators, but for whatever reason, the final product that comes out is just not that great. And I gotta be honest with you, that is not the case for Nightwasp at all. I found the book incredibly enjoyable. It has little notes of like Archer and One Punch Man and some of these other really, really funny shows out there. And it's just dripping with comic book love. I mean, you can tell Keith loves comics and loves cartooning in general. There's pretty much everything that you would like in a comic book is put into this. It is about a billionaire named Ward Woodcock who takes up the mantle of Nightwasp, becoming a vigilante, and his sidekick, Ferret Lad, who is a 40-year-old balding black man. And it is just so funny, their dynamic and how they approach bad guys. It's very much like The Tick, if you're into The Tick and those sort of things. It's, you know, it's really, really funny, man. And, you know, I talked to Keith about what some of the future is going to be holding for Nightwasp, and it's really, really intriguing stuff. It's actually a book I'm going to continue to read, and I'm actually forming a relationship with Keith, so we're going to start like looking at each other's scripts and just kind of being more involved on the creative end. But, you know, just as I know a lot of you guys, my subscribers, are comic book fans. I felt it was really, really important for me to tell you about Nightwasp, especially because it is doing a Kickstarter right now. Now, let me give you a little bit behind the scenes, a little bit inside baseball, okay? So the way it works in mainstream comics is basically that a comic book will come out, it'll be solicited in the previews catalog. So that's a catalog that all the comic book stores get you to check out what's coming up, and then you will pre-order it or put it on your pull list, and then the comic book shop will order those books for you. They order it from the distributor, and then you buy it from the retail. That's how the process works, okay? But here's the thing. A lot of indie books do not go through Diamond Distribution because you need to sell like a ton of comics. You need to pay them like $5,000 up front. There's all these different things. So a lot of indie books do not go through Diamond Distribution. That is why you can't really get them in comic books. You definitely can't pre-order them at a comic book store. And there are exceptions to this. People have found interesting ways to get their books into stores, but more or less, one of the biggest things for indie comics is Kickstarter. Kickstarter becomes that same kind of a medium where you can essentially do the pre-ordering of a book and look at a video and a production that explains what the book is going to be about, much like the previews catalog for mainstream titles. And then you can go pledge towards a Kickstarter, and it's a pre-ordering of sorts. It is the same totally tangible, measurable way to show support and show the life of a book. It gives the creators the money that they need to print the book and to get it to you. So basically, Kickstarters have become the preview catalog for indie comics. Now, right now, as I am making this video, Nightwasp and Keith are doing a Kickstarter, and this is a huge, huge deal. There are only a couple days left in it, so if any of this sounds really intriguing, or if any of the art that I've put up in this video looks cool to you, go check out the Kickstarter video and the page, which, by the way, I help them out with their videos, so you'll see a familiar face when you check that out. But I would go over there, give it a look, listen to the podcast. If this stuff sounds intriguing, go pledge on the Kickstarter, show support to some indie comic books and to short fuse in general. Honest to goodness, guys, I would not be just plugging this for the hell of it. I think that this book is really good. It goes after a niche, man. People that respect underground comics, the subversive nature that mainstream comics has kind of abandoned as of late, the history from which good cartooning and comic books and avant-garde, just art in general, comes from. If you dig that sort of stuff, go check out Nightwasp. It is a great way for you to support that kind of a stuff and vote with your dollars for this series to continue on. I know Keith would really appreciate it. I would really appreciate it too. So I just wanted to bring this message to you guys, share with you what Nightwasp is about. I have backed it personally. I'm excited to get my copies. And so if any of that sounds intriguing, go check that out. And like I said, you might want to listen to the podcast and what not. Now, I don't really have a nerd card question because I was trying to think of something Nightwasp related, but you guys, honestly, you wouldn't know because you probably haven't read it, because this is literally the Kickstarter for the very first issue. So no nerd card question, but I will say this: if you have any questions about the book itself, or you want to, just see a little bit more, or whatever I can do, if you are interested in it but need more information, please reach out to me either in the comments section on Twitter or on Facebook. More than willing to answer any questions you have about the book. I think it's super solid. It's hilarious. It's got, sexual tension. It's got really, really raunchy humor and sweet comic book action as well. So just wanted to bring this video to everybody's attention. Just a couple days left in the Kickstarter. Get in on it while you can. I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day. See ya.